What if I told you Nikola Tesla is so strong, most of the 14 fighters before him would lose in a battle against this beast? Would you believe me? Do you know why this is the case? Well, today I'll be explaining the true extent of his power, revealing everything about this certified mad lad, including of course who he would and wouldn't win against out of the fighters before him, beginning with his power and abilities that go like this. His divine weapon is explained as the greatest mind in human history imagining a suit of armor, with this imagination becoming a reality thanks to the power of his Valkyrie with the Volumed, creating of course this masterpiece, which is used in the following way, involving the Valkyrie's life energy obtained via the Volumed, which is converted by the super automation into high amounts of pressure, which is stored and released when he attacks. This results in his plasma pulse punch. That punch was capable of doing this to the ground, and the commentator statement that is potentially a one-hit kill. He can expand on this attack with his plasma pulse jet punch, which is even faster, his plasma pulse punch twin, which is even stronger, and even his plasma pulse punch Morbius, which is so fast these fighters cannot see where a punch ends and where the next one begins. And tell me this, is Tesla just throwing an infinite number of punches as shown here? Let me know down below. He has the ability to create a cage known as the Gematria Zone, which is used for him to float in because it's an anti-gravity system. This results in the following amps. Almost instant attacks due to Tesla reaching his top speed after a single kick when he is floating. This is known as Zero Max. However, it doesn't stop there. He has more abilities with his movement in this state, pretty much unpredictable movement, with this being called his Tesla steps. Zeus even gives this some praise by stating it's a very tricky move, that he's never seen anything like it. Furthermore, if Tesla is injured like he was during this fight, or if you consider stamina an issue in some way for like various what ifs, with his Tesla step he can dance with very minimal energy being used, allowing him to be very consistent and hard to take down when it comes to the war of attrition. Now, one of his most powerful moves, his teleportation. Labelled as instantaneous movement, with even the likes of Sasaki agreeing that he disappeared when he used it. The requirements and setup Tesla needs to complete this is so advanced and convoluted that Loki praised how crafty he is. Also take note that Tesla can only use this ability when his zone is active, and around 3 uses, but naturally this depends on whether he uses his Tesla coils for other things. Lastly, he has the ability to use his teleportation to of course teleport one of his arms, resulting in an attack labelled as the inescapable piercer attack, the plasma pulse punch cross. Of course, coming back to the start, each one of these variations could very well be a one-shot attack on I guess certain gods, as when it did hit Beelzebub it didn't particularly finish him, however Beelzebub's defense is of course a factor. Before I continue, if you're new to this channel and enjoy Record of Ragnarok content, that's what I provide here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out my How Strong is Beelzebub video after this. It does expand on various factors regarding Tesla as well. So Tesla's aim of course is to surpass the gods. With science alone, he was able to at least reach them. Perhaps Tesla is the least likely man in history to know what it is to give up. As previously mentioned, just landing one direct plasma pulse punch can leave Beelzebub in this state, who compares his injury to him fighting all the goons of Hades he had in his castle, and even losing to Hades himself while injured. One attack is compared to all of that. Tesla was able to survive Beelzebub's most powerful attack as well, known as Chaos. If I'm being honest, this is probably one of the most devastating attacks in the whole series, and would take out a majority of the fighters if it was to be used on them. Tesla surviving even left Beelzebub shocked. Of course, this was done via him sacrificing one of his super Tesla coils, however it still did major damage. Something else also outlined by a mad lad from the Discord Destroyer is that Thor's hammer when awakened was able to kill the world serpent according to this panel. Beelzebub is stated to be able to block Thor's hammer, and Thor's hammer at a base level is able to take out these giants. Chaos is a combination of both the greatest offense and defense, meaning it could potentially be stronger than Thor's awakened hammer, the one that destroyed and killed the world serpent. And as we know, Tesla survived this by partly weakening it in some way. The degree that he weakened it, we don't really know. With all this in mind, you could say Tesla has like world level durability or something along the lines of that, which is pretty wild to think about and could be considered for like cross-verse things. However, it also means he may be able to tank direct shots from Thor's hammer, which is pretty wild to think about. Beelzebub does help our boy Tesla become more and more broken if you consider stuff like this. Also, we have this panel as well. If you look closely, it says, "Mankind's strongest knowledge pierces the sky and borders through the earth. Take that however you want." As a whole, he has crazy speed, movement, destructive power, and a means to counter his opponent. So first, who does he win against out of the fighters before him? I hope the reason of why he defeats Zero is pretty obvious, pretty much just outstats him. Hercules, his movement is the major issue. Hercules isn't really the fastest fighter, his punches and unpredictable movement will be enough. Likewise for Jack, even if he is in London, what's Jack gonna do if Tesla decides to teleport to him? And if he was to create a cage, I think Jack is this ripped at that point. Lu Bu, while having impressive raw power, when it comes to skill-based movement like the Tesla step, he kind of gets stomped. You could say a similar thing for Raiden, who's a more so blocker rather than dodger. And I don't think you can compare his defenses to the likes of Beelzebub whatsoever, so Tesla's movement and punches will definitely be enough. For Jun, I see a lot of you praising a lot more than I personally do. I don't really think he's all that. He is of course strong and has some unique abilities with changing the form of his weapon, but when it comes to speed and hacks, he doesn't really have much at all. So what's he going to do against Tesla's unpredictable movement, or if he was to teleport and land one of his potential one-shot attacks? Not much. Shiva I think is very interesting, and I may make a full dedicated what if battle for this. Both of them having unpredictable movement with the use of dances. However, once again, teleportation is far above anything Shiva can really do. If you do consider his transformation, I think Tesla can survive the sustainability game, of course, with his unpredictability, having more benefits than what Shiva's really does. Hades, I don't want anyone saying that he's stronger than Beelzebub. Watch my Beelzebub video. He pretty much gets destroyed by Tesla's skills just outright being better than his. Now the fighters I think go in the either way category. Pretty much Poseidon, Thor and Huang. Poseidon has pretty insane speed, and if you compare the size of his arena against Sasaki to the size of the zone Tesla creates, it's pretty much the same, or you could even say Poseidon's zone is even smaller. Poseidon within this range is very monstrous. Of course, Tesla could very well win with his teleportation as well. Huang has a lot of abilities that could be used to counter some aspects of Tesla, and Tesla kinda likewise for him, so once again something that will need more breaking down, definitely on the same tier in my opinion. Thor, I guess if he is lucky, could just one-shot him with his hammer. However, Tesla could pretty much do the same and does have superior movement. Now the fighters I think Tesla is more likely to lose against. However, there is a chance he could actually win. Sasaki at the end of his Poseidon fight got a pretty wild buff. I talk about this panel in pretty much every video where Sasaki is mentioned, but pretty much it's kinda broken. He was one of the fighters commentating or talking about Tesla's moves a lot during this fight, with only the teleportation and the pretty much potentially infinite number of punches seeming like a potential problem, but once again, if he can scan all of creation, I don't think this should be a problem. Beelzebub does have future sight, which of course is a big counter for a lot of the fighters. He has a lot of transformations with his weapons that could potentially one-shot Tesla. I think these two would have a pretty wild fight. And then of course, fighters I think Tesla would definitely lose against. Beelzebub, we know why he's here. Zeus, yes, Tesla has instantaneous movement, but I think being able to stop time is greater than that. And Adam, I know a lot of people disagree with my Adam takes. I've talked about it and explained it in various videos. So if you want to know more, I guess just watch some of these videos. But that's everything for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Check out all the other stuff in the description if you haven't already. And of course, shout out to these mad lads who support the channel via the Patreon. But that's it, guys. Peace.